Hello, I'm Frost, and welcome to another episode of Alliance Spotlight. The spotlight is being shone this time on Razer Alliance, and my guest to talk about Razer is Forkrul Assail, who has been part of Razer for over a decade and is one of its Alliance leaders. So let's get on with the interview. So Forkrul, hello. So good to see you. Thank you very much for coming on video as well. That is absolutely brilliant. And we're going to be talking about Razer, and there is clearly a lot of history in Razer, and you are now the chief historian, as I said during the intro. You've been in Razer, as I understand, for like over 11 years now. I checked your profiles, 11 years and 22 days, I think. So that's a long time. So I'm going to hand over to you, and please tell me about the history of Razer, because I think it is something quite special.
Okay, first of all, hello, and thanks for having me. So, talking about the history of Razer, well, Razer is pretty old, right? So, the Alliance was founded in 2005, so we've been around for, well, nearly 16 years now. And we have been around the block a few times now, so we have taken space, lost space, conquered space, lost tons of stuff, and killed tons of stuff over the years. That's what we basically do till today. So
So the comeback kings, right? You kind of you rise and you fall, but then that's because of your ethos, right? As I understand, that's the way Razer works. Is you stick to right to the last man. If you make a commitment and a promise, you stick to it, right?
yeah, that's basically one of the core ideas of Razer. If we basically took the idea that Goonsform had a bunch of years ago and continued with that one, being basically the best possible friend and the worst possible enemy. We are maybe not the best at being the worst enemy anymore, but I think we're still pretty much the best friends you can have if we can help it by any way.
Okay, excellent. So obviously you guys started off in Tinal, right up in the north. And so can you explain, because you were involved with BOB and then with Northern Coalition. Can you give me a little bit of background on that?
So yeah, Tinal and by extension branched are basically Razer's homelands, right? So we were founded in 2005 to retake this area of space after the fall of Phoenix Alliance by the corporation Cutting Edge Incorporated, who came from Phoenix Alliance and then started running from there. We retook the north in the first go and then found new allies, which was mostly me back then, and then we basically were the wardens and lords of the north for many years, starting from then.
Okay, and so there was also some stuff that happened with like Northern Coalition, the old Northern Coalition, right? Because there's been two Northern Coalitions, as I recall.
Yeah, the old Northern Coalition was actually the coalition, not an alliance like it is today, and this coalition consisted out of the main alliances, Razer and Moses Me, and then there was a few other alliances like Mostly Harmless, who was there as well? The guys in Decline were called Torsetti Federation, and some other alliances, White Noise, no, not White Noise, Widely Inoperated. So all this alliance formed the old Northern Coalition, and that was basically one of the major power blocks back then.
Okay, and so I mean, one of the things that I've always known Razer for is like your propaganda artwork. You know, you have this amazing kind of post-war Soviet style propaganda artwork, and I'm going to link it in the description below as well. The video that you did, I mean, it's like an 8-minute long propaganda video about Care Bears in Razer, right? And I watched it, and it is hilarious, and I recommend that everybody takes a look at this. I think you reposted it. I'll put a link to it. That is worth checking out. You even have your own theme song as well to go with it, and with the same kind of style, that kind of Soviet kind of military kind of band style to it. So where did that propaganda come from? And whilst we're talking, I'm gonna post a few up on screen so people can see what I'm talking about.
We had a very dedicated propaganda department back then. Sadly, that's not existent anymore, but we tried now and then to revive it. So yeah, the songs, so there are also the song How to Stay Aligned, for example, were made by those guys. That was Sarul and Baba Z. Those guys were doing a lot of propaganda stuff back in those days. And some propaganda aged quite well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw the one with Delve and Quirius, right? I mean, that's pretty epic. So, I mean, obviously, you guys were down there before, and I don't know when that was dated back to. That was like 2011 or something, wasn't it?
Well, that's older. That's like 2007 or something. So that's really, really old. But I think we went to Delphi Queries now like 4 times to conquer it, and we succeeded 2 of them. 1 we failed, and 1 is still in progress. So we will see how that goes.
Okay, well, we'll come back onto that a little bit later because obviously now part of Fire Coalition, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, history definitely repeats itself, right? So as we see from that propaganda, there is another poster as well that I saw with like it's the Super Capital Suicide Squadron. Now, most people don't associate super capitals with suicide. So, where did that come from, and what was the ethos behind that?
I think that one originated from the time when Mercenary Coalition was steamrolling the north, and Razer always was a PvP-centric alliance, but that was also always, also always a big industrial group, and so back then they were trying to motivate the industrial guys to get into super carriers and go for some suicide missions.
Okay, all right, okay, that starts to make sense now. Okay, so then obviously, you guys have been involved with lots of different groups, and I mean, I know that you became very close friends with kind of the Russian-speaking alliances and the DRF in particular, and you kind of, and since then that has continued, right? You guys have maintained a strong relationship with that particular group.
Yes, I think well, we were enemies with the Russians at some point. With the Old Northern Coalition, we started to invade the drone regions at some point. And then the Russians called PL, hired PL, and then at some point everything collapsed. And actually, that was the point when the old NC lost its base.
Mm-hmm.
But when we joined the CFC, we started to establish relations also with UAS Exdeath, the back then leader of Legion of Exdeath.
Mm-hmm.
And we started some fake campaigns against each other. So we talked to each other, agreed, well, we redeployed to Geminate, started to invade Geminate, but the agreement was it was only a content deployment. Basically, we would try to take space, they would try to stop us, and then when everything was done, we would just return the space and everything would be fine. And from that deployment, we started to develop a very strong relationship with those alliances because well, we kept our word back then, like we tend to do, and we left after the war, and yeah, trust was built.
Okay, and how long ago was that?
That's 2008 or 9, I think.
Okay, all right. So your relationship with like DRF or Legion of Death, to be specific, is like it's 12 years. That's a long time.
Actually, I have to correct it. It has to be like 2012, I think. My bad. So it's not as long, but still 9 years.
It's still almost a decade, though. That's still, in EVE terms, that's still a very, very long time. So that's pretty impressive. So yeah, let's come on to today then. Obviously, you guys spent some time in the drone lands. There was the whole DCU thing, which neither of us really wants to talk about. That's kind of where we met. I was in one of the alliances DCU, you were as well, and that was a learning experience for everybody, I think, and that will be for another video. But let's go on to today and Fire Coalition. So obviously, Fire Coalition is primarily made up of Russian-speaking alliances, but you are not a Russian-speaking alliance. You are primarily you're an English-speaking alliance with a strong German element, but you also have US time zone. Is that right?
That's basically correct, yes. So after the fall of the drone regions and the collapse of the DCU, the drone control unit, we decided to stick with Legion of Exdeath and also stay with when they decided to form the Fire Coalition, which was the final reunion. That's what the ticker stands for. Of all Russian alliances, that was the idea behind it. Well, that went not totally perfectly well.
It was a lofty goal, though. I mean, to try and get all the Russian alliances to work together. I mean, that is a far-reaching goal.
Worked at least in parts for a pretty long time, right? So Redline stayed for I don't know 2 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And also Civilian Squad was in the progress of joining, but then decided otherwise. I see a pattern there, I guess. So,
Yeah, I mean, Siberian Squad, I mean, they've been coming up in my war updates quite a lot, you know, backwards and forwards. So maybe I'll speak to them one day and I'll ask them exactly what's going on. So obviously Fire Coalition are in the east. So if I'm correct, you are in Deterid, is that right?
yeah, basically Deterit is the core area of the Fire Coalition. Then around that is Innsmother, Wicked Creek, and Scalding Pass.
Okay, and obviously Fire Coalition, as the time of making this video, which is March 2021, we're involved in the war with the Imperium, you know, in Delve, and also the south. So your relationship with in terms of Pappy is what? How do you describe that relationship?
Well, we're good friends with Test and in Extension Legacy. So Test is the longest time ally of Legion of Ixteth. So yeah, this relation is pretty strong. The relation with NC and the Panfam in general is a little bit on and off. We had times where we were blue, we have times when we weren't. So, but that's how it goes.
I mean, if I remember rightly, about a year ago, 2 years ago, they were invading your space at one point, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said. But
okay, and sorry, I'm interrupting. Please continue.
No worries. I was about to say, but yeah, Legacy is the long-standing ally of ours, so we are blue to them and will remain that, I assume, for the next foreseeable future.
Okay, and talking now about sort of players in your alliance. You know, you mentioned that you're obviously a PvP alliance. You have that long history of PvP, but you also have an industry element. Can you describe kind of the players that you're looking for, that you generally recruit? Are they kind of high SP players, capitals, industry?
It's pretty diverse. It depends very much on the corporation you're wanting to join. We have some very old corporations with a lot of very old players, with very high SP, lots of alts, tons of supers, and tons of other stuff to throw around. But we have also corporations that are looking for new blood, and that's quite good because this combination helps us to keep fresh.
Okay, I understand. So essentially, you choose the type of corporation you want in your alliance, and that corporation then has its own flavor of the kind of player that it likes to attract, and you create your mix that way. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, true.
Okay, and so then let's talk about what is a typical day for a Razer pilot. I mean, are you guys really involved in kind of the war in Delve at the moment, and working with Pappy down there? Are you helping sort of strengthen up the back lines, or are you more just focused on what's happening within Fire at the moment?
It depends a bit on what's going on the day-to-day basis, of course. If there's important timers in Delve, we definitely jump down there and help. But we also had recently the deployment of Volta, supported by Init and other alliances.
With Dreadbomb, yeah.
Dreadbomb.
Was it C006, wasn't it?
Exactly. So
yeah,
that situation is resolved since Volta deployed away and we took the IHub and everything. So we established our grip on our home regions pretty firmly again. But yeah, so right now it's mostly home defense, going for timers that are around if allies asked for them to be supported, and then if something important in Delve shows up, then we go there and have fun there.
Okay, and so obviously, as I said, you're part of Fire Coalition. Are kind of your home defense fleets kind of more Fire, or they were just Razer? I mean, how much do you work together with, let's say, Legion of Death and Unreal Alliance, and how often do you work as kind of your own alliance?
Fire is a pretty close coalition, I have to say, so that also means that we share all our space between each other. So there's if there's a Razer flag on a system, the Razer IHub and Razer TCU, that doesn't mean that only Razer can use the system. It also means XIX can use it and Unreal can use it and whoever else. So we share our space. Same goes for XD systems, of course. So we share our space, and we also share our home defense fleet. So that's all usually very, very combined. We have sometimes Razer-only fleets, but that depends. And mainly, if we do stuff on our own, it's on the smaller end, or it's stuff where we have friends that need some help. So we had, for example, a few weeks ago, a timer in the Amar Faction Warfare Zone in Koniainen. where Forkrul was attacked. We went there and helped together. Well, we took XX with us for this fight, and also some Armamenischer friends, and we had a pretty good brawl there with multiple targets. And then also Snuffbox came along and actually didn't win the fight.
Yeah, Snuff are very much in the picture at the moment, especially in low sec. But I have to say, obviously, if the viewers don't know, I was in Razer for a little while, and I flew with you when we were in DCU and stuff. And I have to say, those home defense fleets with Legion of Death are just epic. You have I would have to say the Legion of Death FCs are a breed of their own, and they are definitely enthusiastic when they go for their home defense fleets. It is like all in. There's no messing about whatsoever. So then let's talk about the future. What are the plans for Razer? I mean, in terms of your size at the moment, I think you're 1,500 members when I kind of checked .lan. So what are your plans? Do you want to get bigger? Do you want to kind of develop more with Fire? Do you want to kind of go back? Let me know where you want to go.
So, Razer's old, like we said, and in our past we had better days than we have today. So we were much stronger in the years in the north, of course. And it's part of the idea to regrow back in strength, and also to Razer was always basically some kind of a spearhead force. So usually, if the north had to be defended, and someone had to go somewhere and do that what Init does today with Legacy, then that would be Razer. And that's basically this thing where we want to go back to. So we have to rebuild our FC core, we still have to gain and build our membership, and in the end of the day, we have to grow on all fronts back. That's the main goal. So that's probably going to mean that once the main war in Delft is over, we will see if we have to relocate or not. That's in the stars. But once that's all sorted, we will probably start to do our own campaigns again, which I hope will be soon.
Yeah, so I get it. So the idea then is obviously, you've got that stable kind of industrial base with Fire Coalition, but the idea is you want to be on deployment and just go out and go where the fights are, or create the fights, and like I say, do complete campaigns where you mobilize your whole PvP force and go out and kick ass, basically, right?
Basically, or get kicked.
Okay. Well, hopefully, yeah. Razers are quite pretty humble, I know, but that's the general intent. Although, having said that, I mean, you've got some interesting characters in your alliance, right? I mean, do you want to mention some of them?
Sure. So one of the more public persons right now is Aurelia Breeze. He's an FC for Razer, and I think he has his own YouTube channel and posts videos now and then. Mm-hmm. We have our Black Ops FC, who's our leader, who's basically doing the most of the S-Times and stuff, who's Ladron. Mm-hmm. Some of the older person will know, well, Razer is led not led by a single alliance leader. Maybe that's important to know. We have a troika, so it's always 3 people leading the alliance, which means that if someone has no time in real life, then the alliance can still work. And also, if someone has a little hissy fit and is raging around, then it's not going to do stupid stuff without the other guys stepping in.
So you have the triumvirate, you have that Soviet troika, right?
Basically, yes. So that's also why we're called the People's Democratic Dictatorship.
Okay, brilliant. I like it. Okay, well, I've pretty much, I think, asked all the questions I wanted to. I think you've given us a really, really good view of what Razer's about. And I mean, is there anything else you want to add at this point that you just think is a good little thing to close off with?
I think most of the things are said. So I think the most things I said. If people want to join Razer, then let us know. We are always happy to form new people, but I think that's the most important thing.
Okay. Well, what I'll do is, what I always do is in the comments, I always pin a comment to your public in-game channel so people can get in touch with you. So I just want to say, Forkrul, thank you very much for coming along. That was super interesting, and I'm sure everyone's going to appreciate all the history as well. And I hope you make it back to Timor one day.
Oh, for sure, we have time, right? There's decades to go.
Yeah, that's the plan. All right. Well, thank you very much, Forkrul.
Thanks a lot.
Take care, and good best wishes to everybody in your alliance.
I would send that. Thank you. Bye.
And there we go. That was Forkrul Assail from Razer Alliance. I hope you found that interesting. You're now starting to hear some music playing. This is actually the Razer Alliance anthem. I thought this was a good way to finish off the video with a little bit of an introduction to their song. And to say very quickly, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications, as there will be more Alliance spotlights, as well as currently my war updates. And don't forget to mention me in your Corp Discord, your Alliance Discord, and talk in the comments as well. That's good. Good stuff. Helps the algorithm. Okay, that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed that, and see you soon. Bye.